I can't really remember a time that we didn't go to church. Probably when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I remember in children's church feeling like I needed to be saved. I really did not understand what it meant to be saved. I just knew I didn't want to go to hell. A very kind-hearted lady led me in a prayer. She basically prayed and I repeated what she said, even though I didn't understand what I was praying. But she helped lead me through this prayer, and later I was baptized, and that was about it. There was no follow-up discipleship after that. My family moved to another state when I was around 12 years old, and we joined a local Baptist church there. And it was there that I really got to be involved in the youth group there, became very active, and for the first time really in my life began to be discipled. By the time I was a senior in high school, I began to doubt my salvation. I had struggled with it on and off probably my whole teenage years. I was a really good kid, but I mean, even times when I would be asked to write my testimony, I would struggle with that, but just kind of, I guess, just really blew it off. But I really began to doubt it. Talked to my mom about it a lot, talked to my youth pastor, and they were both convinced, completely convinced that I was a Christian. Even though they were convinced that I still in my heart did not have peace about it. At a youth rally one night, I went down and I prayed a prayer, believing that I was saved, and was baptized again. And after that, I started reading my Bible and really started to have quiet times. Just sadly became very good at being legalistic, as you could say. I went to college at Union University, became very involved in many Bible studies, and I was even a religion major. And one night during a chapel service, once again those doubts about my salvation began to rise again. And it was very hard for me. I was so confused, very depressed about it, prayed about it a lot, just did not understand why I was going through this again. And I talked to my roommates who were my best friends, very godly girls, and they were just completely 100% convinced that I was saved and that it was Satan attacking me. I told people before, I completely believed in Jesus. I couldn't believe in Jesus anymore. I, knew what he did for sinners, but I just had a problem believing that I was saved. I believe I was really relying on my past experiences of being saved, and was trying to convince myself that everything was okay, and I just needed to trust God with that. Years later, Brad and I were married. Always very involved in the churches that he served at. Life became pretty busy. Working full time, started having kids and raising kids. But I was living very selfishly, wasn't growing in Christ like I knew I should be. Looking back on those years, I can just see God's grace and mercy all over my life. He even, after Cade was born, spared me from death, and I knew, I was thinking about those times, especially after it happened, that I knew God had a reason and a plan. I wasn't really sure. But about 7 or 8 years ago, I began to feel like something spiritually was missing. Like I just didn't have a spiritual pulse. One night I even had a dream that I'd gone to hell, and oh my goodness, I woke up just sweating, and I really felt like it was just a warning from God. And it wasn't long after that, on a Sunday night, we had a guest speaker at our church, and he had a testimony very similar to me, and to how I was feeling and experiencing, and I just, for the first time, had felt God calling me, asking me to completely surrender to Him, just trusting that the struggle, and it wasn't up to me to save myself, that It wasn't my own struggle, and it wasn't something that I needed to work out on my own, but that I needed to trust in Christ and what He did for me on the cross, and that was enough, and that was enough. And I truly believe that God was saying, I want you to step up. I want you to this is it. This is your time. I'm asking for all of you, not for part of your life, for some of your life. I'm asking for all of it. And I went down and I sincerely prayed and asked Christ in my heart 100%. Brad baptized me, and it was a beautiful, humbling experience for me. I've seen God work in my life like I have never seen Him work before. I see things differently, like through a different lens. My whole outlook on life has changed. Priorities have changed. If there's any good you see in me at all, it's because of the love of Christ. It's only because of His love that compels me to do anything and to try to serve Him, not out of obligation or out of guilt anymore, but simply because of His great love for me.